Here it is. Beautiful piece of Warhammer history. And I'm gonna have to spoil it. I've been putting this off for over a year now, but it's time. Hello and welcome to Bleeding Tree Gaming. My name's Amy, aka Warpfiend, and today I'm living out a childhood dream of painting a classic Tyranid Warrior. Now these were the plastic ones released at the end of Rogue Trader, at the start of Second, and I never got a chance to paint one of these at the time. So what I'm doing is I'm starting with a ball red base for that lovely vibrant red-orange. Then I'm going to shade it down with some Pterodon turquoise that I've watered down. Now the reds in these were always these vibrant orange at this stage in the development of 40k, and that's what I'm going to try and go for here. So I'm going to re-establish that red with some Antares red. And then I'm going to get some Wild Rider red, and this is a lovely orange, and we're going to start building up that orange colour. I'm just over brushing here, which is like dry brushing, only you don't have to be quite so meticulous about wiping everything off your brush. You can use it wet, it's just like using a light hand brushing it over. I'm mixing some golden yellow to do another final dry brush on this. And then I go back to the ball red. I actually noticed this is a bit too heavily coloured. I need to water it down even more, so I just do that on the model. I'm going to take some of that Pterodon turquoise, and I'm just going to blackline all of the edges. Now I go back to the Wild Rider red. Start highlighting back up. I just want to really define all the details as much as I can. Now models back in the day, you tend to just give them dry brushes rather than the kind of volumetric highlighting I tend to use today, but a mix of the two works really well. I'm going to take some sunny skin tone, which is my usual highlight for red, and I'm just going to give a final highlight to define all the details. Next I take a mix of Xandri Dust and Scrag Brown, and I'm going to base all of the bony plates. Then I go on to straight Xandri Dust, and I'm going to start texturing it with some chunky lines. Chunky line texturing, it never fails me. And I'm going to slowly mix in more and more dark ivory to that, and keep on building up lines, trying to get a bit more precise every time. Until I eventually get to pure dark ivory. Now it's at this point that I can't help noticing how the plates on these are sculpted almost exactly like toenails, and technically that's what they are. Tyranid armour is just chitin that grows out of the skin, much like kind of nails would be for us. So I had the idea, oh, let's push that a little further. So what I do is I get some dark magenta, and I'm just going to glaze that over all the parts on a nail, on a thumbnail or a toenail that would be pinkish. And the idea is this is the new, fresh, growing chitin, and the creamy part on the end is the dead stuff, just like on your nails. I'm going to take some Payne's Grey, and I'm just going to glaze that just around some of the boundaries, in the recesses, and to just define the line between the pink and the white part. You can see they're very quickly already looking like nails. I'm mixing some of the dark ivory with that dark magenta, and I'm just going to get in some extra lines on top of the parts that I've just glazed over, just to re-establish them a bit. You can see we have some nasty, gross looking toenails. The internal organs at the front I'm going to base in moot green. And some of the other little bits of sinew underneath the armour, they're going to be pink, so I mixed that dark magenta with some white blue. I'm going to use some Caspian blue to base the hilt of the sword, and the white blue to base the blade of it. Now I'm going to highlight up the pink, and I just add some white blue into that dark magenta mix that I've already made, and just do a couple of highlights up that way. Now this is very much my style of painting, as you'll know if you watched other videos on the channel. I always say, why bring another colour onto your palette when you've already got your base colour and some lighter colours? So yeah, the same with the moot green. I just mix in some white blue, highlight it, mix in a little more white blue and highlight it again. This is just a nice simple way to highlight absolutely anything on a model. Now I'm going to glue that bony rib plate onto it. This is quite fiddly, but I do manage to get it on eventually. Okay, so time to paint the bone swords. Now I haven't got quite the same colour blue as in the classic artwork, but I think this works quite well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the white blue and the Caspian blue, and I'm going to shade down the blade, and I'm going to shade up the hilt until they kind of meet in the middle. Some nice sharp white blue edge highlights on the blade. Okay, it wouldn't be a classic old hammer model if I didn't have a goblin green base, and here I'm using Coat d'Arms version of that classic paint. I'm just going to give this a couple of dry brushes with the golden yellow and with the dark ivory, and then I am done. Now I've had so much fun. I've always wanted to paint this model. I never got one at the time, and now I've had a chance to do so. I'm so happy that he's sitting there on my shelf looking particularly gross with those nasty toenails. I really like the way the toenails have come up. They had just like a little extra body horror kind of thing, and I think the pink sections work well because it's an orangey model, so it looks kind of like they're transparent. So maybe this is a baby Tyranid Warrior whose armour's only just forming. I really hope you've enjoyed that video. If you've got any comments, want to tell me how I did, please let me know below, and don't forget to subscribe to Bleeding Tree Gaming. Every subscriber helps. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Hopefully I'm getting out an October video coming soon, if I manage to make it in time. See you later, bye bye.
Bye.